Boy is a good story. It has ambition, an alright twist and potential for likeable characters, but nobody really cared in the making. There's plenty of things about The Boy that is watchable, but hardly anything that makes it individual. The story had potential to delve into a psychological horror element and give it character, but the director wasn't willing to take these risks, so it ends up as a bland, painfully average spoof-like movie, yet at the same time tries to be so much.
Hello? I'm aware that a lot of you niggas don't like me, but I don't give a fuck.
The premise begins with an American babysitter who goes to England to look after, expectedly, a child. Boomer 1 and Boomer 2 soon reveal that their son is actually a doll, Brahms, who she has a tight schedule for. The reason for the doll is that their real son had supposedly died, but the exploration of this psychological element is kept to bare minimum. In the opening, the driver, who the audience is supposed to like by the way, is just shown to be a creep during this scene for no apparent reason. That established information never has any backlash to the future of the movie, nor does it change the aspired atmosphere. And there's a bunch of these scenes and shots where it just means nothing. It's just for the failed aesthetic, or they just wanted to bulk up the runtime. However, there are a few things about The Boy that I liked. For example, the score, including the choice of Brahms' music, and the acting wasn't terrible either, but not particularly good. No! There were also a few impressive choices in cinematography, and the use of Hungarian dance does give an anarchic element to stressful situations. The relationship between Greta and Malcolm is also introduced in the beginning. At first, their interactions are really natural and charismatic, but in the later scenes, the connection becomes too forced and overall awkward. You can tell that his role is just to be a vessel for sympathy or sacrifice at the end. Their relationship is one of the things that needs to motivate the audience to watch on due to its slow pacing, but it seems that the end twist is all the film has, as if it tries to carry its lazy production on the narrative. Later on, we follow Greta get haunted, per se, by the doll due to her ignoring the schedule of rules, which is possibly the only reason to relate to her at all. During and before this, the scares rely on jump scares and dream sequences, which defines the entire film. It also uses these fucking zooms, both here and later on in the film, clearly done in editing. Which brings me on to the editing. Holy shit, is the editing bad. It's such a shame that these flashing images didn't give me a fucking aneurysm because they're so unnecessary and just laughable. Shortly after, Greta sees the good side of Brahms, and this in itself had so much opportunity to see the emotional or psychological toll of her fear, much like the Boomer Cruise, and how caring for a fucking doll is absolutely psychotic. But it drifts over it so blandly. Which is a shame because Greta was previously shown to be a somewhat intelligent final girl, and her just suddenly changing due to fear is pretty unbelievable. Wedged in the middle of the story is the suicide of Boomer 1 and Boomer 2. It seems so out of place and poorly structured, and it totally pulls the audience out of the claustrophobia of Greta being stuck with the doll in their house, which is previously shown quite well by showing the same rooms repetitively, suggesting that the environment Greta is in is extremely limited. Skipping over some character development, consisting of Malcolm being shown about the doll's movement and Brahms being introduced as an actual threat, we find ourselves meeting somebody who Greta has previously mentioned a few times to her sister on the phone, Cole. Cole is said and shown to be an unhinged, dangerous and clear antagonist, but she has dinner with him anyway, instead of calling the police due to, you know, her restraining order. Cole's visit is short-lived after Brahms warned him to leave with rat's blood, another painful, unscary cliché the boy seems to showcase. The ending begins with Cole smashing Brahms, triggering the real Brahms to reveal himself as an adult living in the walls. The revealing shot was pretty chilling, nothing over the top, but definitely creepy. Russell's movements portraying Brahms are especially well done too, for what it's worth. He did an alright job, paired with the child's voice, of showing a terrifying and truly threatening character. The twist is the best thing about this movie. Combined with the supernatural red herrings previously, it does come partially unexpected and is definitely a cool adaptation of dolls in horror films. We then get a final chase scene, which during we find out that Brahms had obsessed over Greta by keeping her previously stolen clothes on a doll, which sort of gives him a motive because he's got pretty bad mommy issues. There are plenty of tense and freaky moments in the last sequence, and moments that show Greta's intelligence, which almost makes up for previous faults, but then it ends. The ending is kind of anticlimactic or rushed in Greta's narrative, possibly done to leave room for a sequel, but I hope that will never happen. Tallying up all the pros and cons, we can come to a conclusion that The Boy is not a good film, but it definitely is somewhat enjoyable.
In this episode, thank you. Cheers.